Well, welcome everybody here to the PRI show. We are here at the Full Pull Live corner here at the PRI show for our first interview of the day here. And I'm Dan Mayer, going to be joined by Marvin Epperson, the competition director for the NTPA. And Marvin, you're coming into year 3.
Yep.
We talked a little bit this past summer at a couple events. And, coming into year 3, so, year 1, you come into the deal there and everybody's, jumping on you here and there. Your second year, kind of getting things rolling. How are we looking for year number 3?
Yeah, it's looking pretty promising already. I mean, got a lot of stuff cleaned up, fixed, moving forward. We're dealing with brand new safety things here going into 25. In fact, we just released our new rules for 25 or the changes about an hour ago. My phone's blowing up. I'm not answering it right now, but everybody's going to get the chance to read it and ask questions or whatever. We just released them this morning for everything new, all the classes, all the safety stuff. So it's going to be a good 25. 24 was better than 23 for me, and it'll be good going forward.
So last weekend at the banquet, everything kind of gets released, the new programs and everything, and then rolling into PRI. Has it been one of those weeks where this is the one you dread every year? Is everything comes to a head here?
Well, yeah, because we didn't have enough time to even take a rest or work on that rule thing. We're trying to squeeze it in every night and get it released as quick as possible because a couple things finally got decided Saturday at the banquet. So we were waiting on that to get the rule book released. So we didn't really get any rest till we had to come down here. We had a nice meeting with one of our sponsors Tuesday at Beck's Hybrids up here in Indiana, so we all attended that and then came on down here. So yeah, we haven't had any rest since the banquet.
So before we get into rules and what happened and everything, let's talk about NTPA, the longest sanctioning body in the sport, goes back to 1969 when things were formed. And how did you get involved in this whole deal?
Well, I've been pulling. I had an association in Ohio for right at 15 years that I was a president of, vice president of. I did compete there as well with a national aspirated two-wheel drive, which I still have sitting in the trailer in the driveway, and did that, and then got to run the pulling sled, Bauer built sled for Mark Bingham, Joe Singer in Ohio. Did that for right up to about 14 years, and then started in 08. Was approached by NTPA, hey, we would like to have you come on board as a tech official. So I did that, and I was building tracks and running the sled. And then finally in the fall of 22, got a phone call from the president of WPI, said, hey, this position is open. We would like to consider you taking it. But I can tell you, I told him to give me 7 days. It took me 7 days to think about it, but here I am.
I was going to ask you, how was it one of those decisions where, a day later, yes, I'm going to do it, or took the full 7 days to kind of, the pros and the cons and everything that goes with it? Yeah,
it did, because I was still running the sled then, and I really liked that job. That was a good gig, actually. I had a front row seat to the sport I love, and but I really enjoyed that. And it took a little bit for me to decide to give that up to come to this job. And then the guy I was doing it for, Mark Bingham, I met with him 3 nights in that 7, and not one time did he tell me, hey, don't do it, I need you here. He said, this is what you need to do, go on, I'll be fine. And it was hard for me to walk away from him.
Absolutely. So moving into the year 1 of the job, like anything, change, nobody likes change. Yeah. So you were the guy right there that applied all the change, and you got through that. I mean, you said, we talked down in Raleigh there a little bit about it, and, you made it through the changes, and, everybody's, learning to work with everybody.
Yeah, it was hard that first year in 23. Not only was I new to the competitors, I was new to all the promoters, everybody involved. Some of them knew me locally, Indiana, Ohio, but you get out west, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Every place I went into, I was kind of on eggshells and pins and needles because I had the competitors and then I had to learn personalities of promoters, and it was pretty tough in 23, but I made it through. Everybody got to learn me, and then last year everything just hit the ground running. It was a complete 180 turnaround. So it's pretty good right now.
So coming off the banquet, we talked about that. And, a lot of different changes here for 2024. I mean, it really doesn't look like a whole lot. I mean, one of the big topics over the winter months here has been the 4-1 class. That has been really a talking point. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we started talking about that in August. I talked with Outlaws a little bit on it. There were some concerns with what seemed to be the 4.1 turbo having some failures and potential blow-ups. So we've been talking about that excuse me, since the end of the season, and trying to come up with a plan to, if that's the case going forward, how can we make it safer, but yet make it simple so the competitors don't have to take all their turbos back to the drawing board, and the manufacturers don't have to pull everything back and start over. And of course, we got the farm show coming up. That was a major concern as well, to get all that to where the major three of us is on the same board, so when all the tractors come from all the associations, they're as good as they can be going safe into that building. And I think what we released this morning is going to take care of that. We wanted it simple, easy to tech, but be safe, but not cause total havoc financially for both the manufacturer and the competitor. And I hope with what we got out there today that that's going to happen.
Well, last year, all the three major organizations kind of got together there before the farm show, and that was a big, with the safety with the turbos, and everybody had come together on that, and everything worked out well with that. But I mean, that was a right down to the gun kind of deal there, wasn't it?
I'm very happy about what we did with the exhaust side. A lot of grumbling was made this time of year till the farm show, but when June came, everybody was on board, and as the season went through with the results, that's been very successful, and it's worked. So very proud of that part. Now we're working on the intake side of it. So here we are again. Yeah.
It just seems like, you go from one thing to the other. What other classes were we looking at some changes here for 2025 moving ahead?
We got a little bit of rules stuck in there for the light limited super class. Some of them guys was wanting to run a newer style tractor, whether it be a 7000 John Deere or like an MX 100, where they came from the factory with kind of a bell housing and an OEM drive shaft, which wouldn't be as safe. So we're going to allow them to get rid of that, like an Oliver or a Ford or a Cockshut, put a frame rail on it, put an SFI can and an enclosed drive shaft, and run the OEM rear end. So that's one of the bigger things for them. Everything else is just little things with some of the classes. Some of them had no change at all, which is awesome. So the biggest thing was the 4.1 safety part of it. Trying to think, the only other thing, there's a little thing with the older Hemis blowing the spark plug tubes out. We're going to have a protection device for them that's real simple to install, won't cost them very much, easy to remove if they need to work on it, and they're going to have that going forward here in 25 as well. So
kind of like they run on the top fuel dragsters, more or less a containment for the...
It's just going to be a single aluminum plate with a pin in each end like a hood pin. It'll go across the top of miss the plug wires and hold the tube down so it can't be blowed out into the crowd or whatever.
Well, like you say, safety number one.
That's exactly
safety
right.
is number one. You got to make sure the fans are safe. And so, what else were we looking at here for 2025 as far as the NTPA goes? With the events pretty much are all the same for next year. It looks like no real big changes with the schedule.
Yeah, well. Hutch and Farley's flip dates, getting started. We'll start out there in Benson and then go to Hutch and then down to Farley. Farley's going to be a little different from my point of view. I'm going to have double the help there with what RJ's got going on there. And, it'll be what I'm going to call, in my perspective, a miniature Bowling Green, because we're going to start teching a day early to get all the competitors through there before we even start pulling Thursday night, to have enough people, boots on the ground, and then probably do some special things there that probably wouldn't be done otherwise at some of the Grand Nationals from a tech standpoint. But when you're running for that much money, it matters.
Want to make sure every little. Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about that. What differences that are going to be at that event. Now there's been talk of having scales before and after you pull. Different things like that. We've seen that at Bowling Green. They scale before they go and before, after they run. But what else are we looking at as far as tech side?
Well, I'm probably not going to tell you that.
Okay, all right.
That way they don't know.
Well, you don't mean to tell me what you're going to check, but right. As far as what we're going to do a little bit more.
Yeah, it's been talked to. Me and RJ talked about maybe him even cleaning out a building and having what they call a tech barn. Kind of like similar to Bowling Green, only bigger. Probably run 2 or 3 lines, and we're probably going to put a lot of the guys through the ringer. probably be on a creeper underneath vehicles. Some lights involved, stuff of that nature, plumb bobs, all that kind of stuff.
So Super Tech basically is what we're looking at for that event. So there you go. Well, running for that kind of money, like you say, $50,000 to win, and got to make sure everybody's on the up and up for that one. So that's really, and the first annual that they're doing this. So I mean, a lot of moving pieces there for that first annual event.
Yeah, and probably get through that one. Tomo will seem easy.
There you go. Yeah,
maybe,
then you'll roll right into Bowling Green there at the end of the year, and things will go pretty smooth. But now, last year, any things that you noticed out on the circuit that you made some changes to, or everything go pretty well out there?
The one thing I did from 23, and it worked very well, and I'm going to continue it, and I have nothing but positive feedback. I started moving my drivers' meetings up. Instead of having them an hour and a half before showtime, I'm having them 2 hours and even a little earlier than that, depending on the size of the venue. It does two things. It gives the guys more time between the end of the driver's meeting to get their vehicle ready, get in line, get scaled, get staged. What I didn't tell them was it was mainly for me, because when the show's ready to start, I think you know what my motto is.
That's what
If we start at 7, what's the motto, Dan?
We're going to have a tire spinning at 6:57.
Yep, you're exactly right. And one thing I don't like is starting late. One of the guys that's been in tractor pulling a long time, one of the first things he taught me was always start on time, no matter what. And I've kept to that. Nobody complains if you start on time. They will complain or start complaining if something goes wrong. Well, they didn't even start on time. So you're in the first negative if you don't start on time. But when I've moved them drivers' meetings earlier, it gives the guys more time to get ready. This year the classes were bigger, 2-wheel drive, mini 4-wheel drive, so they needed more time. But it keeps them more calmed down. They can do all their little things that each individual one of them does and get through the line, get staged. And when I'm ready to go at 6:57, I turn around and they're all standing back there, lined up, ready to go, joking, having a good time, and calm. And I tell them I do it for them, but it's actually for me. They're a lot easier to get along with when they're not stressed out. So, but that's worked really, really good. That was one of the major things I did last year, and it's really been a good idea.
Now, is there a certain formula when you go into an event as far as how many officials you got with you, or is it depend if it's like a double track show, you have certain many? Or?
Yeah, so if you're running 2 tracks, well, you naturally got to have a minimum of 4. We try to have anywhere 4 to 6, depending on the sizes of the classes and how many entries you're going to get. If you ran them 3 classes last year, the minis, the 4-wheel drives, and the 2-wheel drive, well, you got 100 right there. So not only do you have scales and drawbar, then you got any teching that you might want to be doing after the run. So you're a minimum of 6 at a 2-track show. If you're running a single track that way, you're still right there at 5 or 6, depending on how the venue's set up to get everybody through there.
Okay.
Yeah. And at least 1 entry clerk.
One entry clerk. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That's. But like you say, so many moving parts at an event like that, and I would look for this year to be about the same as far as entries go, if not more.
Yeah.
It seems like more and more competitors are looking to make that jump up to the Grand National Circuit, and the premier level there. So everybody's
And it's hard to do it that way. So like this year, I'm just going to throw Napoleon, Ohio out there. They got 1 track. They went to a complete Grand National. They run 5 classes. They're kind of limited on space, and then when you get double the competitors in 3 of the 5 classes, then you've got a bigger problem and trying to get it through in a timely manner. So I worked with them this year. They didn't want to change their program, but they agreed to start it earlier. So I told the guys in Rockwell that were competing in Napoleon, I would want them there the night before. That way we could open tech early in the morning, because I can't start teching 95 vehicles and have them ready by 3 o'clock. So everybody took heed to the warning, showed up the night before, was parked ready to go, and that went off flawlessly. We ran right at, I forget what it was, 85, 87 vehicles through there, and was done by not quite 11, and it was awesome. We've run one about every 2.5 minutes, which is exactly what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to have a chance to get up and get a pop.
There you go. Yes. Keep the show moving, and have found your groove with that is very impressive that keeping the shows moving along. And, of course, the fans there at the events and at home
Sure.
really appreciate that, you know, keep that nonstop action.
Yeah, and without them, we might as well stay home. You know, I want to give them a show that they walk away and say, that was great. I'm going to tell my buddy, and we're coming back next year, you know, and that's how you do that.
Right.
The lag time, the lull time, that don't work very good. It don't work very good for me either. I'm not a very good patient guy when things not going right. I wanted to click right along, you know. So, because I've sat up there, you know, I've been a promoter. I've sat in the stands. I've sat in the seats of Louisville for a lot of years before I got involved helping, and I'm that guy too. I don't want to watch a scraper tractor, you know. So you got to keep it moving, and that seems to be the magic number. If you can run a vehicle every 2.5 minutes, that's perfect. It just clicks right along.
And I tell everybody the easiest way, if you're a promoter, to kind of put a mark on your event, bring a 3-year-old with you.
Oh yeah.
And they will tell you when they're ready to go. So I mean that's
right.
you know, I know when my kids were little, it was one of those things where, you know, 2.5, 3 hours, they were ready to go. So you better have everything, and you want to see all the, you know, all the big stuff. Now, that was a topic of concern last year, was the unlimited competitors. We're talking about, you know, running later in the show. Has there been any change with that, or does that all depend on the promoter?
Well, I think I seen wording the other day coming from my board and boss. It's going to be in the promoter's handbook that if the unlimited class is scheduled at your event, it has to be started and on the track before 9:30.
Okay.
So depending on what you're running, 2 tracks, 1 track, or how many classes you have, then it'll be up to me or whatever event manager's there to figure out when they're going to run. I was very proud 3 years ago, helped Fort Recovery, Ohio build their track, and it stayed so consistent through the night that when we did run them at the end, not only was it as good as it was when we started, Brad Benedict won it from the last position, the last hook of the night. So that tells you the track was pretty good.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
But it's just hard to do that everywhere.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah,
So,
like we talk about all the time, the dirt's different here, you know, out west versus out east or wherever you go, and you're just at the mercy of what's at that facility.
well, and the other thing I've learned when I was running the sled building tracks, whatever spring the farmers are having, whether it's too wet to plant or it's too dry, you're going to have that same problem all the way till at least August on the pulling tracks. The dirt acts the same way. And if you got a drought a year, you can get water in it, but it just don't come together and hold together like it could have previously. If you got a wet year, the water's kind of already there, you know, and it's a little better. But we deal with the same things the farmers do, depending on how their spring is.
So I got to ask you, do you keep your, you know, the pullers keep a notebook of what, you know, track conditions? You got one too, as far as, you know, now you've been to them here for a couple of years. You kind of got to.
Yeah, I hate to say this. I make a list of things that need fixed.
Okay.
Whether it be the dirt, the preparation, what went wrong, why did this happen, what can we do going forward to help them, little things like that. And even with the sled and the sled settings and whatever, I try to, how can I avoid that problem next time, you know, if it arises. So not picking on anybody, but just things that we could fix, the little things to tweak it, make it a little better.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, every little bit helps, and let's say the end game is the fan at home or the fan in the stands watching, and you know, give them the best possible show. So
this year I got to go to Brandenburg, Kentucky. I'd been to all the Grand Nationals except for that one, so this year I sent a good crew to Fort Recovery. I went to Brandenburg. Never been there before, and oh my, what a different venue that is. They pride themselves on being a miniature outdoor Louisville, and it's exactly that. They bring the vehicles down that tunnel and stage them. They pull them. They keep the top 3 in the winner's circle till it's over, and then take everybody back out that tunnel. Well, they too had 5 classes and pretty large. So when you do it that way, it takes a little time to get them through there. And we were about 10 minutes in on Friday night, and with a little bit of help from Mike Witt from Louisville. He was standing there as a spectator. I said, hey, I can speed this up for you. And Mike went to the farm show, got his hitch for me. And Saturday night, I took a lift and put all the tractors on the sled and took an hour off the show time. Both the spectators and the fair board and the competitors said that was awesome, and it was, and it really speeded up. And they allowed me coming in brand new, not knowing to, hey, let me help you here. And they did, and it worked out pretty good.
Well, I think Larry Phillips is on that board over there. So, I mean, there's another guy that, you know, looking to build things up and help things out. And you talk about Brandenburg. You ever get the opportunity, about 9, 10 o'clock at night, take a walk up the hill by the road there, and just take a look down at that venue. That it's just unbelievable how they.
So the night before, I got there early. Me and the Courses and Tom LaRue, we stood up there and watched the demolition derby. And that is awesome. They were talking about the hillside there. They had a grant money and was going to put in new bleachers and everything, take it out. And actually, the people of the county come to the fair board meeting and said, no, we don't want that. We like our chairs. We like the hillside. Do not change it. And they haven't. And it was awesome to look up there and see all the people up on the road and up on the hillside, and the grandstands is full. And I don't know how many was there, but I would say the whole state of Kentucky by the look of it. But
yeah, they pack them in there.
That little bitty place gets people from everywhere, and it was pretty cool to see.
So now, do you have another list for when you go back this year to say, hey, let's? I know the gears were probably turning after this event and said, hey, we could probably tweak this or tweak that. And
yeah, I think they're probably going to do a class change. They normally flip back with Fort Recovery. They'll probably going to end up with the four-wheel drives this year and two-wheel drives there, I think is what they're talking about. So now I got to figure out.
Greg is confirming it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now I got to figure out how to get the four-wheel drives maneuvered in and out there as quick as possible. Because no offense to the four-wheel drive guys, but they're kind of a bull in a china shop in a tight area. It's hard to maneuver them. You got to kind of move them from the rear end, or like at Louisville, pick them up from the front if they're ready to do that. But I'm going to start working on how to make that as quick as possible, or where to put them in the lineup to make it as quick as it could be. So, yeah, I think everything else is going to be the same other than that. But I've already started thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to do with the four-wheel drive? So, and again, it's all about putting on a good show for the fans. We've got to do that first.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the name of the game. Now, is there any an event that you've never been to before? Is it one of those things where you kind of look, at talk to folks about it before you get there? Is it, or do you just kind of just go in and see what you got and then make your changes from there? Well,
they had kind of warned me about Brandenburg, a lot of competitors, but I really couldn't visualize it till I got there, and the fair board guy started hauling me around the night before in the golf cart, and I'm starting looking and trying to figure out how's all this work, and then once we got going there Friday night, it didn't take me a couple minutes to figure out how I could do little things to speed it up here and there, and thank God to them, they was willing to let me do it, and they really liked it, and it did work. So I think this year going in there, we'll all get our heads together and do the best we can and make it the best show for them that they can probably have with what the venue or with the program they got scheduled.
For sure. So, Marvin, I know you're a busy guy. I'll let you. I know your phone's exploding. You told me here the last 45 minutes you've been one of the most popular guys out here, as everybody's wanting to know what's going on here with the rules and everything going on. But we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us here at Full Pull Live, and always a pleasure to talk with you and letting us know what's going on the tech side of the NTPA.
Yeah. Well, I'll just leave you with a thought. A guy asked me today, last week at the banquet, said, "So you still enjoying it?" I said, "Hell yes." Doing what I love all of my life, and front row seat to it.
Well, Marvin, they always say if you're not having fun doing it, you shouldn't be doing it, right? That's what they always say. So, once again, Marvin Epperson, the man behind all the tech stuff with the NTPA, the technical director here, going on to year number 3 here already. So time flies, Marvin.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So moving on to year number 3 here with the NTPA, we thank him for joining us here this morning.
Thank you.